Hi, my name is Johnny and I teach technical events, and today we're going to be looking at a software called MagicQ PC, which is a lighting visualization software and we can use it for programming. And today we're just going to look at some of its basic features, getting around the software, just to kind of get you up to speed with making a busking file from scratch. Now, how we're going to start this is I've made a show file based on a venue in London called the Grace. So we've got something to work with. We're just gonna go over some of the key features and how we can actually use the software to kind of create a busking file and kind of navigate around MagicQ PC. So this is the default screen and it's gonna ask me some options of what I wanna do. And I'm just gonna hit continue from last show. I'm not too worried about it right now. But what I'm going to do is actually load a show. So I've got a template here. It's going to ask me to erase it from memory. Yes, I do. Now it's giving me some options. So it's defaulted to the MagicQ file, which is in my documents. But if your show file is saved somewhere else, or if you downloaded it, it might be in your downloads. If you click these two dots, it's going to work up backwards. Now we're into documents. Now we're into where I can see more folders. So we've got desktop, we've got downloads, we've got favorites. So if your show file is somewhere else, that's where it would be. I'm going to go back into documents. I'm going to go back into my MagicQ and in my show, and I'm going to load the Grace venue. So now we're here. So this is the after I've loaded it up, this is my default screen, and I can either close this because this is what it wants to. Right now it's in setup mode. I can either close it here, or I can hit this close button down there in my, almost like my shortcut buttons down here. So I'm going to hit close, and it's going to hit me onto layer one. So this is layer one, and it's already given me 4 windows. I've got color, I've got beam, I've got position, and I've got my group for some of my fixtures. So you already see I've already pre-patched in some of the fixtures for the Grace venue. But on my other 2 layers, if I hit layer 2, you can see that they are blank. Now I can put anything I want in these separate layers. These are custom layers that I can put windows that I want of my choosing in there. But what I'm actually going to use, I'm actually going to open up an effects window. So this is where somewhere I can store my effects as I'm going through and I'm just creating effects. I'm going to store them in here. And then later on in the future, if I wanted to be a bit more precise with, I only want to work with certain colors, certain fixtures, certain effects, I can use my execute window. But for now, I'm going to use my layer 2 custom layer for my FX window. And then just before I come off that, because if I do come off it and I go back to layer 2, it's not going to be there. So I'm going to hit the window I want to be in there, and then I'm going to hit record, and I'm going to hit layer 2, and there it's told me it's recorded my layout. So if I come off that and I go back to my layer 2, that's in there. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open the visualizer. And one of the cool things I like about this is I'm going to hit, rather than view visualizer, I'm actually going to go down to overlay viz. And what that's going to do, it's going to stick my visualizer in this top right hand corner here, so I can always see what's going on in the visualizer. Now to access any of the features in the visualizer, I'm actually going to hit patch window. Now, so as I'm in the patch window, what you'll see here is I've got a list of all my fixtures. So on view heads, it's telling me all my fixtures that I've already got patched, and I've gone away and I've done this prior to this video. And you can see that in view heads, I've got all selected. So it's telling me all the lights that I've actually got patched in this show file so far. What we're gonna do, along this top left corner, I've got these extra buttons. I can view all the channels, so it's going to tell me what each function on the channel of the fixture that it has. So I've got pan, we've got tilt. But we're going to click over to view viz. Now in view viz, what this is showing me is that anything that's to do with the visualizer is going to be, I can manipulate and move around here. So I've got no head selected at the minute. So it's telling me that there's nothing selected, so I can't see what's going on in the visualizer. So when I patched all my fixtures prior to this, I can actually move these fixtures around in my visualizer. I'm going to go across to attach objects. Now, this is where I can place things within my visualizer. So if I go to my visualizer and I just click on the settings, and what I'm going to do here, I'm going to bring back up my room brightness so you can see what's going on. Hit OK there. If I zoom in, we can see that I've got my fixtures in the rig and I've got a person standing on the stage. Zoom back out. Now, as I'm in this window, what I'm going to show you, if whilst you're in the visualizer tab, so I'm on view viz, I'm on attach objects. Here now is where I can also place more things within my visualizer. And if I hit insert, what I'm going to do, because I've already got some pipe work in there for where my fixtures are attached to, I've got a person standing on stage and I built the room. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to add some furniture. It's one of MagicQ's wording for adding other objects that aren't pipe or form or person. And it's giving me a drum kit. But if I wanted to change that drum kit, if I double click on the model field, I've then got a range of things I can choose from. It's not extensive, but MagicQ is giving us some examples we can work with. So I'm going to keep the drum kit, but if I wanted to change that, I could change that here. Got the drum kit, and now I'm going to place this drum kit on stage. So these coordinates, these parameters here are where I can then change that location of where that thing is within the space. So I'm not going to change its size, which is its length, its width and its height. I'm going to keep that as it is. And by default, this is all measured in metrics. So, but what I am going to do is, if I go over to its position, which is here, this XYZ positioning, I'm going to change its Y position. And I always think of X as going across and Y is going up. I'm going to put it half a meter up in the air because I know that's how big my stage is. And then I'm going to push it behind the person I've got on stage. So I'm going to go -9 and it's going to push it back. And if I zoom in here now, or if I change my view and I go to side view, and I can't see it from the side view, let's go back to the front and move around, I can see that the drum kit is now behind the person on stage. And that's fine. But again, in here, if I wanted to add any more furniture, or if I wanted to add more people on stage, that's where I can do it here. In my patch view, I've clicked on view viz and then I'm going to attach any objects. Again, if I had patched in more lights, more fixtures, what I can do is click on viz heads, and here is where I can also move those fixtures within the visualizer. So it's given me a nice visualization representation of the space. I've done it to scale. This is of the Grace venue in London. And what we're doing right at a minute, we're just building a busking show file for this venue. So let's go back to layer 1. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to record some positions. And I've recorded some positions for my spots and for my washers. And you can see when I select my group fixtures here, you can see that these become a lighter grey, which to say that is indicated as that is attributed to those fixtures. But let's do some for my Rogue One. So I'm going to hit the position window, and then here we can see the attributes that are related to the position now come active, and I've got pan and tilt down here. I'm going to make my first position, which is, I want it to just be on the stage. I'm going to call that stage. Let's record that position. And then if I want to name that cell in Chamsys, they call it set. I click set, I hit the square or the field I've got, and then I'm going to call that stage. And then I'm going to record another position. I'm going to call this, let's call that crowd. Actually, let's line this up. Yeah, let's call this crowd. And let's name that. give me one more position. So we've got, actually, I may make more positions when if I put more musicians on stage, I might make another position. So let's make that further up. Let's make that like the drummer. Let's call that upstage. Set. Upstage. And let's have an upstage, let's have a downstage. So here, yeah, downstage. Downstage. So now I've got my 4 positions. I've got stage, upstage, and the crowd. I've got downstage. Now let's move on to color. So I'm going to claim my programmer. I'm going to select my R1 washers. This time I'm going to go over to color. And as soon as I've clicked on the window, these attributes become active. Now I've kept some of the global colors in the color window that Chamsys provides for us, and I've kept only these as they work with all of the fixtures that we've got patched in. If I wanted to create my own, select my fixtures, I'm going to hit on the color window here, and this is where I can then create my own colors. Let's bring some level in there. At the minute it's showing all the stuff active, so let's just get this. So we've got 100% red. So bring in there. Let's get a nice deeper purple. So I like that colour. Then I'm going to hit record. I'm going to hit set. I'm going to call this purple. Now let's record some effects. So I'm going to go to my Q spots. I'm going to select them and let's give them some intensity. I'm going to hit full. I'm going to go over to my effects and I'm going to give them a position effect. Now let's give them, I'm going to put on here, let's say figure 8. Now, I'm not too worried about the speed or the size at the minute because I'm going to set up some size and speed masters later on. So I'm just going to close that. As my effect's still running, I'm going to go over to my layer 2 and I'm going to store some of my effects in this window. I'm just going to click record. I'm going to hit the first one. Let's name that spots figure 8. Hit clear to stop that. And that's not going to run, so I've not got my spot selected and we can't see low intensity. And there I've got my effects running. So let's record some intensity masters. And this is really quick and easy to do. I'm just going to select my fixture. At the top here, I can either hit intensity at full, or I can hit at full, enter, or I can hit at 100, enter. Let's just hit intensity full here. Now with that one thing recorded in our program, I'm going to hit record and hit my first fader here. And then I can also rename that as my let's call it my R1 wash intensity. R1 wash intensity. And then I can do the same for my next. So I'm going to clear the programmer. And this time I'm going to hit at full, enter. record, do the same thing here, name those as my spot intensities. It's time for my arc washers, select them. I'm going to hit at 100, enter. Hit select, same thing. Name them my arc intensities. 44, enter. Copy my. Oh, I didn't like it. That's intensity. There we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set up a size master. And how I'm going to do that, I'm going to select my fixtures, and with nothing in the programmer, and I know there's nothing in my programmer because there is no red dot on the clear button to clear the programmer. I'm going to hit record, and I'm going to use this fader here, and it's going to come up with the G spots label in there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to tap 3 times on this S button to get to my fader options. And here is where I can go into functions and change it from it being an intensity master, which is not what I want. I'm going to click no, and I'm actually going to turn it into a size master and say yes. And it's telling me here it's a size master for what group of fixtures? My G spot fixtures. And what we can do here, if I now activate, let's bring up my spots so I can see them, and let's activate the effect. Now, one thing that happens when you turn this into a size master or a speed master, we need to activate that channel by pressing play on it here. And now the fader now becomes the size master for that effect. I can control it here. So let's do one more, and let's make a speed master. So we've got size, now let's make a speed master. Same thing, for my spots, I'm gonna hit record, spots comes up there, I'm gonna tap 3 times on S, and then rather it being an intensity master, I'm gonna say no. We're then going to make it into a speed master, yes, and we know which it's going to be a speed master for because our group ID says our spots here. Let's go back to layer 1 of our spots. Let's get that effect going. Hit play on both of these. These are now masters, so we've got our size, so we can see that we've now pulled up a size and nothing's happening because we now also need to engage the speed. And now we have speed and size control over that effect. So that's a quick overview of how to use Chamsys, how to navigate some of its functions, and how to quickly set up a busking file. The Chamsys program it's got loads in it, it's quite extensive, and we've only just glossed over some of the basic features. But hopefully that's enough to kind of get you started and using the software. But once you guys start to dive into this and experiment even more, you'll see how powerful the software is, especially at setting up a show file and giving you some ideas before you've reached the venue. This can be quite useful.